welcome to another edition of the All Cardinals podcast. My name is Donnie Druin, joined every week, basically at this point moving forward, by my main man, Richie Bradshaw. Go ahead, comment, like, subscribe on the video below. Subscribe to us on Twitter, at Donnie Druin, at Richie Brads36. I'm pretty sure I just butchered subscribe, Twitter. I don't know. Dude, I'm turning 28 this year. All social media is kind of blended in for me.
It's all the same. It's all the same. It's the same for me on every platform, pretty much.
Yeah, dude. So, Super Bowl week is coming up here in just a few days. So excited to have the Eagles and the Chiefs right here in the state of Arizona playing at State Farm Stadium for the Super Bowl. Obviously, wish the Arizona Cardinals were in it, so myself and Richie could be giving you live coverage from the game. But no worries, we will have other stuff throughout the week planned and coming out both on here and on the website. So go ahead and check that out, allcardinals.com or si.com/NFL/Cardinals. Now, Richie, we recorded earlier in the week. We recorded on Tuesday after the news of Sean Payton and D'Amico Ryan's first emerge. And we kind of discussed on how that might impact the Cardinals moving forward. They've completed the 3 coaching interviews that they had this week with Mike Kafka, Lou Anarumo, and Brian Callahan. We haven't really heard anything just yet. Yesterday, Josina Anderson reported that Aaron Glenn is expected to get a whether it's informal or formal second interview with the Cardinals. We really haven't heard anything else other than that. So we're not going to talk too much on the coaching front today. The 2 things we have in mind are going to be Pro Football Focus labeled their top 100 free agents heading into 2023. We'll get into that here soon. And then Kyler Murray, the gift that keeps on giving for media and content creators like Richie and I across the entire web, across the entire nation, which emerged from Mobile. And I want to get to that whenever we get on that topic. But first, PFF did release their top 100 2023 free agent list. 4 Arizona Cardinals made the list. Zach Allen cracking in the top 25. I think he was number 23, excuse me, not number 24. I'll have to go back and look. Number 42, Byron Murphy, Kelvin Beachum, and Will Hernandez following. Over 30 free agents coming in for the Cardinals for 2023. A lot of decisions are going to have to be made. No head coach in place just yet to get them broken down. If we're ranking these guys, Richie, on priority for them to be brought back to the Cardinals, I think that list is pretty much set 1 to 4 on how I would rank them.
I would definitely agree. I probably would switch Hernandez with Beachum personally. I think Kelvin Beachum at this point in his career is more of a liability. But Zach Allen, I did confirm for you he is 23, not 24. So way to go, genius. But
I know.
Zach Allen, I think is a real high quality defensive lineman. I think he's a sure tackler. He turned into a very good gap penetrator this year, and I feel like the best football for him is yet to come. He'll be a really good bargain free agent for somebody. I don't know if the Cardinals bring him back because they are in a position to get a Jalen Carter or a Will Anderson. Not that Anderson plays tackle, but to upgrade that defensive line, I feel like they would be better suited just getting younger instead of paying guys. Not that paying Zach Allen's a bad thing at all, but Byron Murphy, I think that he is a very underrated corner. It obviously, no pun intended, really hurt him this year that he got injured and missed as much time as he did, or else I think he could have been able to get himself a little bit higher. Overall, though, with the plethora of free agents the Cardinals have, these are definitely the guys who stand out the most to me.
Yeah, and kind of touching on Murphy too. I mean, early in the season, not that he quote unquote locked up any of these guys, but he held tremendous receivers, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, to very, very minimal damage. And to your point, it does suck that he got hurt because he might be looking at a bag if he played all 17 games or at least like 15 or 16. So the fact that, his injuries might have cost him a little bit of money might be beneficial for the Cardinals just in their efforts to re-sign him. I don't remember exactly what his contract projection was on PFF. I think it was around like $8.5 to $9 million per year, which I think when you look at the ceiling of a guy like Byron Murphy, you absolutely pay that to him.
Yeah, no, 100%. This is one of the positions that is already such a massive weakness for the Cardinals, and he's gotten better every year. And similar to Zach Allen, you're not going to have to unload the Brinks truck for him. This can be a bargain free agent for them. They can draft a corner pretty high in the draft, and allow him to slide into that number 2 role. This is a really deep corner draft as well. If the Cardinals were to trade down for some reason, they could pick up a guy like Joey Porter Jr. or Cam Smith or Christian Gonzalez in the first round and be able to plug them in. But of the 4 that we have here, to me, Byron is the one that I want back the most.
Interesting. I think I would go Zach Allen. I think
Blame you.
the way he came on this season, and like a lot of people are going to debate whether or not that he was a product of JJ Watt, but having JJ Watt alongside next to you definitely helps you out a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes up and how he progresses, just as like him himself as the main guy on the defensive line. I think whether or not you stick at 3 and you take Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, I think either of those guys with Zach Allen along the defensive front would be a very, very good start to the offseason for the Cardinals. And obviously, you do have to factor price into that. I'm not sure what Zach Allen is looking at money-wise. I'm not sure what exactly he wants, and I'm not sure what the Cardinals value him at exactly. Case in point, if you're picking one guy off this list for me, it's got to be Allen. I understand the allure with Byron Murphy. I like the idea of having him in Arizona secondary in the future moving forward, because we have seen the Cardinals very banged up there. You have seen what it played secondary looks like, and it is not pretty. But if I'm calling the shots, that I would like to adjust the line of scrimmage, the front 7, before I actually get to the secondary.
It's such a fun conversation that people can get into is what's more important, pass rush or pass coverage. And to me, I personally value a pass rush more, but I just the reason why I value Murphy a little more than Allen is because with the 3rd pick, you have a shot at a premium pass rusher compared to a premium corner is more valuable at that pick. That's the reason why I would value Murphy more than Allen. It's definitely not a disparity in talent because Allen is, to me, definitively better than Murphy. It's just in terms of like the kind of fit, the value of the contract that you would be signing the 2 players to. I think Murphy just makes more sense fiscally and building for the future. If you had Jalen Carter and Byron Murphy, I would prefer that to Zach Allen and Christian Gonzalez personally.
I think I would agree. I think I would agree. I think I like the idea of either / or Jalen Carter and Zach Allen, or Zach Allen and Will Anderson over a guy like Byron Murphy and Jalen Carter, or like Will Anderson or Christian Gonzalez, whoever it may be. One thing I do want to ask you, though, let's say hypothetically the Cardinals were picking around that like 9, 10, 11 area where like a corner starts to put themselves into play. How different do you think the conversation is? Because Anderson and Carter are completely off the board. You have a few different pass rushers available. The dude from Texas Tech is slipping my name.
Tyree Wilson.
Yep, Tyree Wilson. Brian Breesy, who, I mean, if you want entertainment, go watch the last 4-round mock draft we did on the All Cardinals Draft podcast with myself and Andrew Harbaugh to kind of see how that turned out. But you have those second tier of defensive guys. You have the top tier corners kind of playing themselves into play there. Do you think corner would be a very realistic option if the Cardinals were sitting there?
Absolutely. And part of that is because they would have a very realistic chance to have their pick of the litter at that point. It has nothing to do with the fact that this isn't a good corner class or there isn't a top tier guy. Rather, this is a very objective corner class. People have a lot of varying opinions. The 3 guys I named can all be number 1 corners depending on the draft board. It could be Cam Smith from South Carolina. It could be Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. It could be Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. But there's so many other guys to value as well. I know that Devin Witherspoon from Illinois is picking up some major steam right now. He might be my number 2. I personally have Christian Gonzalez number 1, although I can admit that there's definitely a little bit of Pac-12 bias there. Kili Ringo is another guy that seems like a very intriguing option from Georgia. There's Donnie. There's like 5 or 6 guys that could go in the first round. There's 5 or 6 guys who could be the first corner off the board. So for the Cardinals, they could absolutely take a corner there and know that there is a chance that their number 1 corner could be there, because the Cardinals, just an example, could have Christian Gonzalez number 1 and a team ahead of them like the Lions decides to take Devin Witherspoon. And it's like, okay, well, we're taking Gonzalez as the second corner off the board, but he was the number 1 corner on our board. So it to me, it makes a lot of sense for the Cardinals to value a corner if you trade down because of the varying opinions. Like I said, it has nothing to do with there not being like an elite talent. There's a lot of really great talent, and it's just going to be personal opinion. Like for me to have Christian Gonzalez number one, Donnie might have someone else. I'm curious. Do you have a corner one right now?
Not right now, no. I know just off of the very very minor stuff I've seen, but I know it's kind of up in the air between like Gonzalez and like Joey Porter Jr. for me.
Right.
I haven't really gotten to that part in the process yet. But something I wanted to bring up to you. I don't think this would happen, but let's say best case scenario, the Cardinals do sign both Allen and Murphy into free agency. I don't think it would be a terrible idea, and hear me out, to get either Anderson or Carter at pick number 3. And then if one of those top corners fall to the early parts of the second round, go make a move for one of them.
Donnie, if anyone has been reading my content that I've been putting out about free agency in the draft, they'll know that I consistently say, go get Javon Hargrave and draft Jalen Carter. I understand they're 2 defensive tackles, but they're guys that you can vary around in their 3-4 front right now. They're multiple fronts, whatever they want to do moving forward. If they
I was
do
gonna say, yeah,
decide,
like the whole 3-4-4-3 thing. Most teams are like base nickel now.
yep, I was going to say, like, it's one of those things where right now, when it comes to your defensive line, you want your best guys on the field. And if the Cardinals were to start doing 2 D linemen and 2 edge rushers, and you're telling me I have Javon Hargrave and Jalen Carter next to each other, I feel pretty good. I don't think that Javon Hargrave or Zach Allen bringing them back should deter you from taking Jalen Carter if he's there at number 3, and maybe Will Anderson isn't. But even if they're both there, you still think about Jalen Carter at that pick.
Now, would you be upset if the team re-signed Beecham or Hernandez? I mean, I don't. We've already established guys like Allen and Murphy. If either of them are brought back, great. If both are brought back, phenomenal. Um, Beecham to me is probably just slightly ahead of Hernandez, only because he was the lone guy to stay healthy this entire season, which involved playing through. I think it was like a sprained like MCL or something like that. The last couple of weeks of the season, when the Cardinals were clearly out of the playoff picture, and I just think that guys like that you need to keep around. But at the end of the day, like it's a business, and to be honest, like I would like Beecham to return. Hernandez, I'm kind of iffy on, but dude, if you are going to reset this offensive line for the future, now's the time to do it.
100%. And what I'll tell you is I think that they would both be quality guys to bring back for no other reason than to establish depth and continuity. But bringing them back should not deter you from trying to upgrade those positions. Let's say the Cardinals do trade down from Jalen Carter and Will Anderson, and they're now looking at an offensive tackle like a Broderick Jones from Georgia, or a DeJuan Jones or Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. Those guys' availability should not deter you from taking them just because you brought back Kelvin Beachum. So even if you brought back either or both of them, the Cardinals still need to be looking to upgrade those positions. Let's say in the top of the second round, Osiris Torrance, the guard from Florida, is there. Even if you bring back Will Hernandez, you still need to prioritize upgrading that offensive line. At the end of the day, Donnie, in today's NFL, it's about having your best 5 out there. Like position wise, yeah, you don't want to put a guard at tackle, but the most important thing is to have your best 5 out there consistently. And if you have a player who is better than Will Hernandez, then you need to draft him. If you have a player that's better than Kelvin Beachum, you need to draft him. But bringing them back for depth, I think would be a really good move. You can't complain at that point.
Dude, no, not at all. And I think that's where sometimes a lot of people can get tripped up is drafting for positional need over just drafting a guy who's going to come in and make your football team better. And when you look at the Cardinals offensive line, I mean, you have DJ Humphries, who is locked up at left tackle, at least for next season. I'm a big fan of DJ. I do like DJ a lot. I don't think he's some premier left tackle, but I mean, as far as like having any positions along the offensive line, just like concrete, like locked in for next year, it's pretty much only him, because you look at left guard Justin Pugh, nobody knows what's going to happen with him. Nobody knows if he's going to retire, if he's going to come back.
Right.
He's set to hit free agency. Rodney Hudson, basically looks like he's going to retire next year. Will Hernandez is also hitting free agency. And then you have Kelvin Beachum at right tackle, also hitting free agency. So there's a really big opportunity for them to hit the reset button, like I alluded to earlier. And dude, like you said, even if you do bring back Beachum or Hernandez and like you get to the second or the third round, especially if you do manage to pick up extra picks somehow, whether that be trading down or trading DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, dude, you look at the recent success rate of offensive linemen drafted on like day 2 of the draft.
Right.
I mean, dude, the talent is there. The talent is absolutely there. And you're not going to get a home run with every pick. You're not going to solve all of your problems along the offensive line with one pick. But at the end of the day, like if you just continue to put good football players in positions to succeed, you eventually are going to have a good football team.
100%, Donnie. It's all about best player available. It's all about drafting guys that you know can either make an immediate impact or can be replacements for soon-to-be free agents down the road. The Cardinals right now, with their new general manager in Montney Awesomenfort, need to make sure that they are just finding good talents to eventually take over for this team. If you bring back a Kelvin Beachum or a Will Hernandez, they need to be 1 or 2 year deals so that you can develop guys behind them and be able to get them to that next stage. But like you said, the ability to find these guys, not just on day 1, but on day 2 and sometimes day 3, is very, very important, very pivotal for eventual success for developing guys. So the Cardinals need to make major investments to the offensive line. They have a piece right now in DJ Humphries at left tackle. The other 4 spots pretty much should be up for grabs no matter what you do in free agency in terms of bringing your guys back. So definitely don't be afraid to draft and develop and throw a lot of darts at the board, honestly. If they drafted 3 offensive linemen, I would hope that nobody would complain with that.
You'd be surprised. You'd
Probably.
be surprised, especially. You just never know. I mean,
they would draft
everybody.
Will Anderson at 3, and people would complain that it wasn't Paris Johnson Jr.
Yep, dude, you're just never going to please anybody, which is obviously something that both you and I know as media members. But moving on, obviously, we'll get into the actual like depths of free agency as we get a little bit closer, but not quite the time just yet. But the reason why we're actually recording on this wonderful, gloomy Friday, some news came out about Kyler Murray yesterday, and we didn't plan on recording today, but I texted you and I'm like, hey, man, can we record tomorrow? Because like I got some stuff I got to get off my chest.
And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, dude. So let's get right into it. Tony Pauline of the Pro Football Network. I like and respect a lot of people there at PFN. They do really cool stuff. Very well respected within our industry. A lot of people are questioning this report that he came out with yesterday, suggesting that Arizona quarterback Kyler Murray was the reason why the Arizona Cardinals do not currently have a head coach. So, quote, why is the Arizona Cardinals head coach job taking so long to fill? If you were to believe what people in Mobile are saying, it's due to Kyler Murray, and it's not because the quarterback has a large say in the matter. Rather, many of the desired candidates don't want to take the job knowing they'll be tied to the hip of Murray for the next 4 seasons. Murray signed a 5-year, $230 million contract in late August, and anyone who takes the Cardinals job will have no options in the foreseeable future at quarterback. Let's get into it, Richie. You and I have been to Mobile a time or two, right? Really enjoy my time. Yep, really enjoy our time at the Senior Bowl. Hear a lot of good stuff, meet a lot of good people. You know as well as I do, especially stuff you hear in Mobile, Alabama. Take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly.
You brought up an interesting comment before we started recording. What would deter a head coach from coming to Arizona? Let's lay it out. First of all, location. Beautiful place to live. Top 5 populated city in the United States. I mean, we wear shorts and t-shirts for Christmas out here. There's really no complaining. You don't have to shovel snow. And
best Mexican food.
Yep. Best Mexican food. Don't let people in Florida or California tell you different.
Or
to quote the great Arizona State defensive line coach Rob Rodriguez, you can't shovel sunshine. kind of like that all year. Then let's get into the team, right? You have a number 3 pick coming up in the NFL draft. You have 30 plus free agents that you're going to be able to kind of mold and put your fingerprints truly on the roster moving forward. Oh, and by the way, you have a franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray. ACL injury aside, which we'll talk about here in a second. Look around the league at the other job openings that were available just a couple weeks ago. Indianapolis, what are they doing at quarterback? Nobody knows. Same with Carolina, same with Houston. And then you look at Denver. Have you seen Russell Wilson play?
I think he needs that Jameis Winston surgery.
My guy.
He's
Nathaniel
seeing ghosts
Hackett
like
got
Sam
a
Darnold.
lot of stuff there, and rightfully so, because I don't think he was cut for that job. Russell Wilson is a problem, and like not in like a 2013 Super Bowl winner problem. I mean, he's a problem as in like that dude's got to go, and that trade for him was a massive mistake.
Yes. Putting it politely.
So when you look at Arizona, Kyler Murray rehabbing from his ACL / torn meniscus probably isn't realistically going to be available until like halfway through the season. Even whenever he does come back, you and I both know it takes some time to really get your feet underneath yourself and to really return to the player you were before that. The problem with Kyler Murray being under contract for the next 4 years shouldn't exist.
Right.
Should not exist. The one dynamic feature as a head coach you asked for is a franchise quarterback. Injured or not, Kyler Murray, head and shoulders above every other option that currently existed on the market for a head coach to take over.
Right. I don't get it either because, like you said, there are so many places that you can go that have uncertainty at quarterback, whether it's, a place like not that these positions were open, but you go to like Green Bay or Vegas where you don't know what your quarterback option is because they're trading or retiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at places like Carolina or Indianapolis where it's like it's enticing because you can get the quarterback you want, but they're very unproven. Like somebody's going to take Anthony Richardson this year, and that's terrifying because you could get the next like Dante Culpepper or you could get Achilles Smith, right?
Yep.
And then you look at the Cardinals and you look at a team that already has A, a franchise quarterback, B, that quarterback under contract.
Mm-hmm.
That is not common at all to already have those 2 items checked off of your list. And then you look at the rest of the stuff that's coming in. You have a very patient ownership that will stick with you through the ups and downs. You have a good amount of cap space and you've got really good draft picks to be able to continue upgrading that roster. You've got a general manager who's coming in with a background in player personnel, a guy who knows how to build up rosters. Look at what they were able to accomplish in Tennessee. There are way too many things to like about this job. And, damn near the top of that list is Kyler Murray already being under contract. So for somebody to tell me that that's deterring it, I just don't know how much I believe that. And if it is true, then shame on these candidates because that would have placed Arizona amongst the top of my options if I were a head coach looking for an option, especially if I'm an offensive-minded head coach. To have a Kyler Murray already locked up, yeah, sign me up. I understand he's not everyone's cup of tea. I have family members who get mad at him all the time that because he's not the most passionate guy in the world when it comes to yelling and screaming. Like, I understand that, again, like I said, he's not everyone's cup of tea. But this is still franchise quarterback, Donnie, and you don't come across those very often.
Oh, dude, for sure. And we can jump right into it. Kyler has a lot of shortcomings, no pun intended. People question his leadership. Sure. People question his maturity. Sure. Can he be a better quarterback? Absolutely. What I like about me and you is we did not grow up Cardinal fans, right? So when we talk about and evaluate the Arizona Cardinals, I feel like we do a good job of not seeing anything through rose-colored glasses, right? I mean, we like to call a spade whenever we see it. we're in the locker room. Okay, we know what it's like to watch a team lose and to be in the locker room after the game and to feel the energy. It's not a good time. It's not a very good time at all. Kyler Murray wants to win more than people want to give him credit. Kyler Murray is also the best drafted quarterback this franchise has ever seen. Carson Palmer isn't walking through that door via trade. Kurt Warner isn't walking through that door via free agency or trade. I don't care how we got here. Okay. Those were guys already pretty established in their careers that came over and had success.
Right.
Do we need to bring up the laundry list of quarterbacks? The laundry list of quarterbacks that have came through and played musical chairs for this franchise time and time again. Are we forgetting about Sam Bradford? Are we forgetting about Matt Leinart? Josh Rosen? Do we need to go on and on? People give Kyler Murray flack. I get it. That's what comes with being an NFL quarterback. And I've talked to him one-on-one. He gets it. He's the quarterback of an NFL franchise. It is what it is. The millions of dollars in his bank account probably help alleviate some of the pressure. But when you watch him play and you see the things that he does, how could you not be head over heels for him as a fan, as a potential coach to come here? And you know what? A lot of people have already said this since that report first came out yesterday. I'm just going to echo it. If Kyler Murray is what's keeping you from coming here, don't come. Don't come. If you don't want to take on the challenge of taking arguably a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League and turning him into a top 5 guy and getting this franchise back to where it needs to be, don't come here. Do not come here. Because you know what? At the end of the day, Kyler Murray, talent-wise, purely based off ceiling alone, he's yet to hit it. Top 5. Top 5 in the NFL just in terms of what that dude can potentially be. Think of what he can be. You saw it under Cliff Kingsbury, who had no business being a head coach in the NFL. Think of what happens is when you get an established NFL offensive mind here in Arizona.
Donnie, I love that you bring up the fact that Cardinal fans slander this guy when they legitimately, and I don't mean this to be an insult, but if you take it as one, that's on you. You act so self-entitled, like you've had this embarrassment of riches at quarterback. You act like you're the Packers, and you've had Bart Starr and Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, or you're the Colts, and you've had Johnny Unitas and Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. Like, I don't understand this entitlement and where it's coming from, because Kyler Murray is head and shoulders better over everyone that you've ever drafted, and he's got the potential to surpass Kurt and Carson because of longevity. He's already got almost as many years as both of them, and he's going into his 5th season. Like, this is a guy that is going to be your leader in several categories, and that's not a bad thing. So why are we making it a bad thing? Why are we trashing Kyler Murray like he's some bottom feeder in the NFL when, like you said, he's arguably top 10? This is a guy who does so much for you. Hit me.
I'll tell you why. The whole having interest off the field, Call of Duty jokes come left and right.
Yes.
His short stature being one of them. The study clause in the contract, which I will say,
hilarious.
If you weren't really concerned about him doing that, why put it in there?
Right.
So I will give that point. But money is the biggest reason. Because anytime Kyler does something stupid, you hear, oh, we're paying him X amount of money. Let's get into it, Richie. Let's get into the Kyler Murray contract. Numbers via SpotCheck up here above. This year, kind of fitting. He has a very, very low cap hit at $16 million. He's not going to play most of the season. Probably about half is what people are kind of guesstimating right now. And then you see those numbers shoot way, way up into the stratosphere. Almost $52 million, almost $46 million, $55.5 million, and then $43.5 million as well through the next handful of years. It's a lot of money. Look, $50 million is $50 million. No matter how you cut it, no matter if you give it to me in pennies, quarters, nickels, dimes, whatever. $50 million is a lot of money, Richie Bradshaw.
Yes, it is.
With that comes a lot of expectations. And on the field, Kyler has not necessarily lived up to those expectations. Coaching or not, we're about to find out if it was really Cliff Kingsbury or Kyler Murray has a problem here in Arizona. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So Kyler Murray has the number 3 cap hit. Not this year, but next year, whenever that $51.8 million cap hit comes through. The third highest cap hit for quarterbacks behind Deshaun Watson at $54.9 million. That's going great. Dak Prescott at $52.13 million. That's going awesome. And then you have Kyler Murray there at $51.8 million. And then right below him is Matthew Stafford at $49.5 million. They won a Super Bowl, so I can't really say anything about that. Well-deserved contract. Matthew Stafford is very, very good quarterback, so I can't really make any adjustments there. But let's talk about the guys who are going to get paid in the future, Richie Bradshaw. Before we started recording, you listed off Lamar, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Tua as the next upcoming quarterbacks. What kind of money do you think those guys are going to command? Because it's not going to be the 5-year, $230.5 million contract that Kyler chasing to an extension last year. No. It's going up. It's market value, baby. This league is not a what has been done previously. It's a what can we do now kind of league, both on the field and off the field.
Absolutely. Donnie, let's go through it real quick. Lamar Jackson, can he reset the market?
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, can he reset the market?
Absolutely.
Joe Burrow, can he reset the market?
100%.
Jalen Hurts, can he reset the market? Potentially, right?
Maybe.
Tua, probably not, but he's still going to get a big fat contract. Mm-hmm. Of those guys, we listed 3 definitive players who could and should reset the market. When they sign, they are going to be making $50 million a year. Definitively. Who knows? Maybe some of those guys will be closer to 52 or 55. Down the road, you're going to have even more guys that are going to be signing extensions. It's one of those common occurrences where these contracts look so insane at the time, and then in 2 or 3 years, they look like a bargain. So for the Cardinals to get this deal done after his 3rd season was massive for their future plans for him. They have him under contract. Look at that, people, until he's 31 years old if they decide to not take an early out. They have him under contract until he's 31 years old. That's a long time to have a contract figured out. Now, I'm sure there will probably come a time where if he continues to improve, that you renegotiate that stuff and whatnot. That's just the nature of the beast. But right now, you have him locked up for the next 2, 4, 6 seasons right now. He is under contract for 6 years. That contract is only going to get better. And guess what, Donnie? That cap is going to keep going up. It just went up a lot this year. Teams just recouped almost $16 million from the cap increase. That's only going to get better. This contract is only going to continue looking like a bargain. And we're throwing a fit about it? Come on.
Yep. And dude, let's not forget too, even if the cap doesn't continue to go up and it kind of maintains where it's at right now, the salary cap is a myth.
Yes,
so many teams find a way. Dude, look at the Saints. Look at the Saints who are like $60 million over in cap space every single year. And they somehow wiggle out of it and manage to re-sign guys and attract other free agents there. Yep. It's just, dude, speaking of quarterback contracts, Patrick Mahomes getting a $500 million contract, and the Chiefs are not only not sweating it, but they were able to retain a lot of their key guys, and they're playing for a Super Bowl here in over a week.
Yep.
Come on.
3 of the last 5 years that they
and
are playing
now you have a guy in Monty Austinfort who comes from a very, very savvy Patriots organization. We can talk about the player development all we want and the drafting and stuff. The Patriots love fiddling around with that salary cap. So I'm really interested to see what Austinfort is able to do with the cap, but kind of brings us back to Kyler Murray. I just don't get it. I don't get it from a fan hating perspective. I don't get it from a coach wanting to stay away from the perspective, how hard is it to find a franchise quarterback and keep them here long term? How rare is that? There's a reason why you see quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3 at the draft every single year, because it is so hard to find that guy. The Arizona Cardinals have their guy. And for Kyler to be painted as this big deterrent,
like a villain.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing. I don't either. And the guys that we brought up earlier, Donnie, Matt Leinart, and we didn't bring him up, but Josh Rosen. They were both first-round picks. They were both top 10 picks. Guess what? Neither of them worked out. Rosen was here for 1 year. Leinart lasted his rookie contract, and then he was gone.
Yep.
That's 2 first-round picks. That's premium selections, people. Kyler Murray was a premium selection. It worked out, and it almost didn't happen because they had tied their hitch to Josh Rosen when we were somehow able to get out of that. Like, you almost didn't have Kyler Murray.
Yep.
Truly, you almost didn't have Kyler Murray. I have people that I love very dearly that tell me they would, to this day, rather have Nick Bosa. And that does not make any sense to me, because you would just not be in any position to continue trying to get quarterbacks. Who knows? Maybe you sucked so much you got Joe Burrow. You would have been lucky. Now, it doesn't happen. How many times the Cardinals had the number 1 pick, Donnie? Once. They have been a team for almost 100 years. They have had the number 1 pick once, at least in the modern draft era. You don't just walk into that. So you got Kyler Murray, luckily, and you're upset about it. And you extended him. These things don't happen all the time.
Nope.
So
it's going to be really interesting to see how the coaching search pans out. Really, the only offensive guys they have interviewed up to this point that are still kind of available is Mike Kafka and Brian Callahan. I would very much be on board with Kafka. When you look at the track record with Kafka, what he's done with Daniel Jones, coaching underneath Andy Reid in Kansas City, what he was able to help progress with, and Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Mahomes and Kyler are not the same quarterback. Burrow and Kyler, as it looks right now, are not the same quarterback. Case in point, though, he has shown not Burrow, Daniel Jones, even though Kyler Murray is immensely more talented than Daniel Jones. He has shown the ability to help get the best out of quarterbacks. And I feel like that should be Arizona's number 1 priority. That's why Cliff got kicked to the curb, because he wasn't able to maximize Kyler Murray or the Arizona Cardinals offense.
Right. 100%. There are pieces here, and the biggest piece in quarterback is here. Yep. If you truly are deterred, then I don't understand it. You should not be interviewing to be a head coach if you are deterred by Kyler Murray. Plain and simple.
Yep, and dude, let's not forget, there are only 32 of these jobs in the world.
Yep.
32. If you are going to already let an established franchise quarterback hold you back, which, by the way, Richie, let's go through it really quick. The Texans don't have the number 1 pick. They might not get Bryce Young, because the Bears might either 1, stick at number 1, or 2, trade out to another team that wants a quarterback. Okay. You have the Colts, who are going to have to move up from, 4 to 1?
Yep.
That's going to cost them a pretty penny. You have the Panthers, who are going to have to move up from number 9 to number 1 to get Bryce Young, right? You look at the other quarterbacks after that. CJ Stroud, I like Stroud. Is he Bryce Young? To me, no. And dude, even talk about Bryce Young, like, there are legitimate concerns about his size.
There are. And isn't it funny that we're talking about Kyler Murray and talking about Bryce Young's concern for size? I always find that hilarious.
Yep. And so you look at the other quarterbacks, you have Anthony Richardson, which is boom or bust. Like, the actual definition of boom or bust, and we're going to find that out very, very quickly with him. You have Will Levis, who's another guy, and then that's kind of it. It's just in terms of like the top elite quarterbacks in this class who are going to be taken at least in the top 10 to top 15.
Right.
I don't know, man. When connecting all the dots, I would much rather have the Arizona situation compared to pretty much any other coaching situation there is out right now.
Definitively. It's not close. It truly is not. There's a lot to like in Arizona. If like I said, if you don't like the fact that you have Kyler Murray, shame on you. Like you said, there's only 32 jobs. in the NFL to be a head coach. 3 to 5 open up every year. And I got news for you. Teams that have a franchise quarterback are almost never opening up.
Yep.
Almost never.
Nope, completely agree. All right, any closing thoughts?
Arizona State is going to be really good at football. And if you guys are not invested yet, then get invested, activate the Valley. I know that has nothing to do with the Arizona Cardinals, but I know there's a lot of Sun Devil fans out here. Activate the Valley.
Great plug. Always a joy to watch the Sun Devils. Hopefully they recoup under Kenny Dillingham next season. Very excited to watch that fold out. Very excited to watch how everything kind of pans out here, whether it be free agency, the head coaching search, or the upcoming NFL draft. For Richie Bradshaw, I am Donnie Druin. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the All Cardinals podcast. Go ahead to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at RichieBrads36, at Donnie Druin. Visit our work at allcardinals.com or si.com/NFL/Cardinals. We will see you guys next week. Thank you so much.